Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something, well, pretty much everyone faces. Job interviews.
Absolutely. That feeling, whether you're just starting out or looking for a change, maybe aiming higher, interviews can be daunting.
They really can. Sitting across from someone, those probing questions, yeah, it's a lot. But what if, you could get a bit of a shortcut, a glimpse into what actually makes a good impression? We've been digging into some really fascinating information. It basically walks through a simulated job interview, but from the candidate's point of view.
Right, this candidate, Richard. And it's packed with examples, different ways to approach common questions, the whole thing.
Exactly. So our mission here in this deep dive is to sort of pull out the best bits, the real nuggets from this material.
Giving you actionable insights, things you can actually use, hopefully helping you feel a bit more prepared next time.
Yeah, let's unpack what this information really shows about handling those crucial interview moments.
Okay, so one of the first things that jumps out is the preparation, even before the interview questions start. This information mentions Richard visited the place the night before, got the route down.
Oh, that's right.
Arrived early on the day, and this is key, took a moment outside to just, compose himself before walking in.
Okay, see, that right there tells you something. Preparation isn't just about rehearsing answers in your head.
Not at all.
It's about managing the other stuff, the logistics, your own stress levels, so you can actually be present when you walk in.
Precisely. And then even the small talk, the greeting. Richard mentions his journey, but flips it into a positive, referencing his preparation.
Ah, subtle. Like, yeah, journey was fine because I planned ahead.
Exactly. It subtly reinforces things like being conscientious, planning right from the get-go. Sets a good tone.
Okay, smart. Right, let's get into the core questions. The absolute classic first. Tell me about yourself. How's that handled here?
Well, this is where the strategy really kicks in immediately. It's not, your life story. The focus in this material is all about linking your skills, your qualities, directly to what's in the job description.
So it's instantly relevant. You're positioning yourself as the solution they're looking for.
Exactly, from the very first sentence.
So Richard highlights things like being positive, focused, good at planning, organization. Stuff that's clearly useful.
Right. And what's really interesting is how he connects those skills to the business itself. He mentions his ability with customers, but then explains why that matters. Understanding the need for great service for repeat business, for actual commercial success.
Okay, that's a step beyond just I'm a people person. That shows a commercial awareness.
Definitely. He also touches on working alone, working in a team, being a fast learner, volunteering for stuff.
Building a picture, right? Versatile, proactive.
Yeah. And he sort of anchors that whole opening answer with a clear commitment, saying he'll perform to a high standard, contribute to the company's financial objectives. It's quite a confident start.
It is. Okay, next question they often ask. Why do you want to work here? This is your chance to show you've done your homework, right?
Huge opportunity. And the information shows Richard doing just that. He talks about the company being a market leader, innovative, creative. He even specifically mentions admiring their customer-first approach, so he's clearly looked into them.
And then he connects it back to himself. He aligns his own drive, wanting to improve, develop, not just, do the minimum.
Yeah.
With how he sees the company as always striving, moving forward.
Yes. It's like saying my ambition fits your culture. And he also talks about wanting to stay long-term, seeing his own career path fitting in with where the company is going.
He even mentions wanting to work with talented people, not just for, contacts, but because being challenged helps him grow.
Which frames him as someone really eager for development, within that specific place. Smart.
Okay, then things get more specific. What experience do you have which is relevant to this role?
Right, and the info highlights that Richard mentions he reviewed the job description before applying.
Again with the preparation. Little details, but they add up.
They really do. So he then dives into his experience, starting with dealing with customers and clients. Makes sense for many roles. And he specifically calls out handling demanding or difficult situations using his communication skills.
Okay, practical examples.
And then experience in different teams, stressing he's adaptable, supportive of colleagues. That hits the collaboration point.
And he talks more about planning and organizing, especially under pressure. The key bit being how he does it looking ahead, meticulous planning.
Yeah, not just saying, I'm organized. He also includes supporting managers, by being a high performer focused on the business needs, showing initiative.
So the summary is basically, my experience means I can hit the ground running and do well.
Pretty much. Confident but backed up.
Makes sense. Then the conversation moves naturally onto teamwork. What makes a great team? How does he define that?
Well, the most important factor, according to this info, is having a shared objective, a common goal. Everyone pulling in the same direction.
Right, fundamental. Communication's in there too, obviously.
Yes, but specified as both speaking and listening, active listening.
Good point. And being supportive, especially someone on the team is struggling.
Definitely. And beyond just being supportive, also being driven towards that end goal.
Yeah.
Keeping the momentum. The information also points out diversity in skills and qualities. A great team isn't just clones of each other.
True. And this is insightful. Being willing to take feedback, analyze how the team's doing, and be open to improving constantly.
Yeah, that focus on evolving together, not staying static.
So to make that real, they ask for an example. Give us an example of working as part of a team.
And Richard gives this specific scenario. A project, demanding client, kept changing the specs, but the deadline was fixed.
Oh yeah, we've all been there. Pressure cooker.
Exactly. He notes the team was initially frustrated, understandably, but focuses on his reaction. Staying positive, focusing on keeping the client happy, saying, yes, we can work with you, despite the changes.
That shows some crucial soft skills right there. Managing expectations, staying positive, client focus under pressure.
For sure. He explains how the team adapted, regrouped, and he throws in a specific detail about himself taking on a task he didn't know, learning it fast, getting it done.
Demonstrating that adaptability within the team context. Proactive.
And the outcome. Project done on time, client came back for more work, and it actually boosted team morale. See how a good story makes those skills concrete.
Absolutely. Sticking with challenges, the next one is example of completing a difficult task under pressure.
Okay, the situation Richard describes is a colleague suddenly off sick, highly specialized work left undone, needed urgently. Richard volunteers even though he doesn't know the task.
Bold move. So the insight is in how he handled it.
Exactly. The steps he took. Called the sick colleague for advice. Smart move. Then created a really detailed plan, juggling his own tasks and the new ones, prioritizing. And showed commitment by working extra hours.
Right, practical steps.
And the outcome is framed as a total win-win. Task completed, plus Richard learned something new, broadened his skills, got better under pressure, turning a potential crisis into a growth opportunity.
Very good framing. Okay, shifting gears slightly. How do you deal with conflict with a coworker, the interpersonal stuff?
Yeah, important one. The main principle highlighted here is deal with it immediately. Conflict drains energy, hurts team goals.
Makes sense. Don't let it fester. But how?
Interestingly, the first step suggested is to look inwards. Review your own actions. Are you contributing somehow?
Self-awareness first. I like that.
Then the approach is to talk privately with the coworker, using open, positive language. The example phrase is something like, I feel like there might be some tension. Am I doing anything to irritate you?
Non-accusatory. Invites dialogue?
Exactly. The goal is finding an amicable way forward, getting back to working together well. Escalating to a manager is really positioned as a last resort, only if it's too stuck.
Okay, practical advice. Then the future days in question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Richard's answer here really emphasizes commitment to this company long term. He aligns his own growth plans with the company's future. He aims to be, a high-performing, respected, trusted, loyal member of the team.
Solid answer. Does he add anything else?
Yeah, he adds a nice layer. Seeing himself as potentially experienced enough down the line to help train new people.
Well, that shows leadership potential, right?
Yeah.
And willingness to invest back into the team.
Exactly. Forward thinking.
Pressure comes up again, but this time it's more personal. How would you handle stress and pressure?
And Richard's response is quite interesting. He actually says he kind of prefers working under pressure, feels he's at his best then.
Really? Okay, how does he say he manages it?
His method involves being really organized, staying calm, clear mind, clear communication, positive mindset. The basics, but putting them together.
And does he mention the team?
Yes, he brings it back to the team context, too. Working together, drawing on other people's experience as a way to navigate pressure collectively. Team resilience, not just individual coping.
Good point. Okay, another crucial skill. Give an example of excellent customer service.
Richard starts by framing it correctly. Happy customers are vital for business success. Shows that commercial awareness again.
Right. What's the example?
He tells a story about helping an elderly customer place an online order. She was anxious, worried about the process, picking the right thing, and especially about paying online securely.
A very relatable scenario.
Totally. And the key detail he includes is that the standard call time was maybe 2 minutes, but he took 7.
Ah, so he consciously broke the rule for the customer's sake.
Exactly, prioritizing the person over the metric in that moment. He describes speaking positively, reassuring her, building a connection, checking her needs, explaining the website security simply. Even took payment over the phone and followed up later.
Wow, really going the extra mile there. Patience, empathy.
Absolutely. And the punchline. That customer became a loyal, long-serving one, so that initial, inefficient, longer call actually generated huge long-term value. Great example.
It really is. Okay, self-reflection time. What are your strengths?
He lists quite a few, but each one is tied back to a benefit. Fast learner means he gets productive quickly. Team player motivates others. Positive presence. Calm under pressure makes him trustworthy. Good communicator role model, thinks commercially. Works alone effectively. And committed to ongoing development keeps his skills sharp.
That covers a lot of ground: individual skills, team skills, resilience, communication, growth mindset. Hits all the key areas employers look for, doesn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's comprehensive but relevant.
Then the flip side, the often dreaded. What's your biggest weakness?
The weakness Richard identifies is finding it hard to say no, which, can lead to taking on too much, getting overwhelmed, working extra hours.
Okay, that sounds plausible. How does he frame it?
He puts it in the context of being willing to volunteer and help out, which is positive, but acknowledges the potential downside burnout, maybe losing focus if it's not managed.
And the key is probably how he addresses it.
Right, exactly. He immediately follows up by stating he's committed to self-improvement, open to feedback on how to manage this tendency better. It shows self-awareness, and that he's actively working on it, doesn't just leave the weakness hanging there.
Turns it into a positive, almost. Or at least shows a proactive approach.
Right. Then there's the background question, why did you leave your last job?
Always a bit sensitive. How's it handled?
The explanation given frames it really positively. Basically, reaching his potential in the old role, seeking a fresh challenge, new experiences after growing there. And crucially, he emphasizes leaving on good terms. Positive relationship with the old manager, the old company. No hint of negativity.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to badmouth previous employers. Presents the move as a forward step.
Exactly. All about looking forward.
Okay, brings us to the big finale question from them. Why should we hire you? The elevator pitch moment.
And this is where he pulls all those threads together concisely. Summarizes the value proposition. He hits the key points again. Experience skills match the role perfectly. Fast learner means less pressure on managers. Great with people, teams, motivating others. Excellent customer service skills. Patient, methodical, commercially aware, understands the business. And loyal, honest, acts with integrity, good brand ambassador.
It's a really strong summary, isn't it? Because it's all been backed up by the examples he gave earlier. It connects the dots for them.
Precisely. It's not just listing adjectives, it's linking them to the benefit for them.
Now, the information also flips the script and looks at Richard's questions for the interviewers, which is often an overlooked part of the interview.
So important. His questions are really strategic here.
Okay, what does he ask?
First, he asks about the company's future plans, like for the next 5-10 years, expansion, new products, that kind of thing.
What does asking that achieve?
Well, it reinforces his interest in staying long-term, right? Shows he's thinking big picture about the company's trajectory, not just this one job, ambition, foresight.
Makes sense. What else?
Then he asks a bolder question. What frustrated them about previous people in this specific role?
Ooh, that is bold. How did that land?
Apparently really well. The information reveals it got the interviewers talking about maybe past issues with lack of ambition or drive or willingness to learn.
And that led Richard then?
Exactly. It allowed him to subtly contrast himself, reinforcing his own eagerness, his proactive nature, basically showing he's the answer to their previous frustrations without saying it directly. Very clever.
That's smart. Okay, final question from him.
He asks about the priorities for the first 30 days if he were hired.
Okay, that shows he's thinking practically about hitting the ground running.
Yeah, signals he wants to contribute quickly, understand their immediate goals, proactive, enthusiastic right to the end.
And the whole scenario just wraps up with him thanking them, reiterating enthusiasm.
Simple, professional, leaves that final positive impression, confirms his interest.
Wow. Okay, that was a really thorough walkthrough. It gives such a clear picture of, well, one very strategic way to navigate those interview questions.
Yeah, you really see how it's not just about what you say, but how you say it. Moving beyond just listing skills to giving those specific examples, explaining the why, it makes a huge difference.
It really does. It's about showing your thinking, your approach, not just your CV points.
And handling those tougher questions, conflict, pressure, weaknesses, with specific stories and a focus on learning and improvement. That information provides a great blueprint.
It absolutely does. It sort of reframes the interview, doesn't it? Less like an exam, more like a conversation about your potential value and how you'd fit. So think about how you might use some of these ideas next time you're prepping. How can you take your own experiences, your own stories, and frame them like Richard did to really highlight the skills, the approach, the potential contribution?
Because this deep dive really underscores that being prepared isn't just memorizing answers. It's about crafting your narrative, your value story, in a way that connects with what that specific employer is looking for.
So thinking about everything we just unpacked, what stands out most to you? Is there one strategy, one detail from this simulated interview that makes you think, yeah, I might try that differently next time?